Good afternoon to everyone. We now call our Jasper County Planning Commission meeting to order. At this time, we'll ask Mr. Jenkins to lead us into our invocation and pledge allegiance. You rise with us, please.
Let us pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. O Lord, let your will be done, on earth as it is done in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Give us our debt as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not, my Father, into no temptation, but deliver us from all things like sin and evil. This evening, our Heavenly Father, we come thanking you for this day. We thank you for life. Father God, we thank you for this fine country in which we live, one of the greatest countries on earth. Father God, we thank you for your people. We thank you for covering us under your blood. Father God, we thank you for these commissions. We thank you for our chairman. We thank you for all of these commissions one-to-one. We thank you for our guests this afternoon. Father God, we thank you for all of your blessing. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'd like to thank Mr. Jenkins for leading us into that invocation and prayer. The next thing on our agenda this evening is approving of the agenda for this afternoon.
so move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Jenkins, second by Dr. Butler. The next thing on the agenda is approving of the minutes from the September 10th, 2024 meeting.
Second.
Motion by Mr. First, second by Dr. Butler. Ready for questions? Hearing none, all in favor of such motion, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
Right, it's approved. The next one I did, old business, expansion of legal non-conforming use, 426 Chapman Road. This was before us last month, and I think they got an update for us. So you want to bring something today, Ms. Wagner?
Yes, sir. I'm just pulling up the agenda. I'm sorry.
Good evening, Chairman and Planning Commission members. This is expansion of a legal non-conforming use. The applicants, Congrove Enterprises, LLC, and Arbor Nature. They've submitted a request to build 2 additional buildings on their site for the purpose of storing equipment and some additional office space for employees. The subject property is located at 436 Chancellor Road and consists of 20.56 acres. The property was originally developed in 2005 and was home to Cleveland Construction. The property was legally permitted by Jasper County and South Carolina Department of Environmental Services and is considered a legal non-conforming use. This site is currently zoned community commercial. It's accessed by both Chandler Road and Low Country Drive, which is Highway 462. The property is surrounded on 3 sides by the Oakwood C&D landfill. The applicant proposes to build a 6,097 square foot equipment shed and a 10,000 square foot equipment shed that will have some office space in it. During the 2007 countywide rezoning, the site was made non-conforming. This application was reviewed at last month's meeting. The Planning Commission tabled this item so that the applicant and an adjoining property owner could discuss a resolution to reduce the dust and noise on Chancellor Road and possibly divert traffic to a secondary driveway. The nonconformity section of the Jasper County zoning ordinance allows for expansions or alterations to the use which do not otherwise conform to all provisions of this ordinance. subject to Planning Commission review and approval. The purpose of this ordinance is to address certain but not all nonconformities created through the 2007 countywide rezoning project. Numerous structures and uses that were lawfully established prior to the rezoning project became nonconforming as a result. The applicant has submitted the request for these two equipment sheds, which would expand the footprint on the property. Arbor Nature operates a wood chipping facility and a laydown yard. The site is currently developed with 2 modular office units and a maintenance shed. The business operations itself will not be expanded and the use will not change. The storage sheds will minimize outdoor storage. Their business hours are from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Arbor Nature has 50 employees. According to the Jasper County zoning ordinance, any modifications to a nonconforming use, including a change in use, the reestablishment of a nonconforming use, or any expansions or alterations to the use which do not otherwise conform to all provisions of this ordinance shall require approval by the Planning Commission. In determining whether a nonconforming use, change, reestablishment, or expansion of the nonconforming use is appropriate, the Planning Commission may consider the following standards. The proposed nonconforming use will be harmonious with the surrounding area. In this case, the property was developed as an industrial site and has been used as industrial since 2005. The equipment sheds will not alter the surrounding area. In fact, it would help minimize outdoor storage areas. The proposed nonconforming use will be a desirable addition to the physical pattern of the neighborhood. The equipment sheds will help to organize the property, enhancing the value and the aesthetics of the property. Any additional traffic resulting from the proposed nonconforming use will not be a burden on existing streets. The equipment sheds will not create any additional traffic, as the sheds are intended to provide storage only, while one shed will include some additional office space for existing staff members. No adverse environmental impacts, including noise, smoke, dust, fumes, vapors, gases, heat, odor, glare, vibration, etc., will be created by the proposed nonconforming use. Since there's no change in the use, there will not be any additional impacts created. Outdoor storage or activities are limited and subject to review and may require increased setbacks and buffers. No new outdoor storage activities are proposed. The equipment sheds will help to organize the yard and minimize the current outdoor storage areas. The proposed use is considered to be a benefit to the community in Jasper County as a whole by implementing goals of the Jasper County Comprehensive Plan. The economy goal is to develop businesses and attract public and private investment to grow jobs, decrease unemployment, and strengthen the local economy. While this is a business opportunity, the comprehensive plan does not specifically speak to this situation from an economic perspective. However, the equipment sheds will add value to the property as well as the Jasper County tax base. Public notices were sent to the area property owners on September 26, 2024, and the subject property was posted on September 3rd with a public hearing notice satisfying the notice requirements. The applicant and the business owner has come to an agreement. I did not have that full agreement. Well, I had the proposed agreement, which I put in your package, but it wasn't signed, and they had proposed as part of that a signed post. But I'd like, if it's okay with you, Chairman, to let either Ms. Frazier or Mr. Shedd, those two have been working together to come up with this agreement. If they could tell you a little more about it.
Yes, please.
Hello, thank you for listening to me. I'm Jordan Shedd. I'm representing Arbor Nature today. After last month's meeting, I had a couple different phone calls and text messages with Ms. Frazier discussing your concerns with all the dust and noise coming from the road, which is 592 Chancellor, which goes right near your home and your mother's. Since then, we've tried to not use that road. We're only using that road right now for deliveries because we cannot get the other road onto Google Maps. We're still trying to get it onto Google Maps. And I've also reached out to Jasper County to come and grade that road because it's under their jurisdiction for them to come fix it so that if a delivery vehicle is going by, it's not going to make as much noise because it won't be going through a pothole or throwing up extra dirt. But right now, our vehicles have been using the other road, which connects to Low Country Drive or 462, and not using 592 Chancellor. And then we've also made a couple different signs, which we posted up today. And one of them states, no deliveries before 8 a.m., use 462 entrance, speed limit 5 miles an hour. Ms. Frazier stressed that sometimes the speed when the vehicles are going by would pick up more dust. So that's why I put that on there, and then the 8 a.m. limit, so that she doesn't have to get waking up early. Currently, we don't have any early morning deliveries. Usually they're about midday, but we put the sign out there just in case. That way they know to use the other entrance. And then on the inside of our property, so where they'd be exiting down 592, we put signs saying all trucks use 462 with a large arrow. And I have photos of these signs that we have installed if you'd like to see them. And then our agreement is basically also stating that we are not going to be using 592 with our vehicles under any circumstances unless there's something that we can't control, such as a tree falling onto that road and maybe we can't clear it for an hour, or if there's another property owner that buys the land that that road is currently on and says that we cannot use it. So besides an act of God or some type of thing that we cannot control to stop us from using that road, we are not going to be using 592 for any of our vehicles.
Okay. Ms. Frazier, you like to say anything?
No, just that he said everything. We did have a conversation back and forth, and we went through several agreements before we came up with one. And I signed it and gave him his copy. My mom signed it also. So we have agreed, and they agreed to use the other road, and it has subsided. We don't have the noise and as much as we had in the past. So right now, it's fine.
Thank you. Dr. Buck, do you have any questions?
I do. I read over the agreement that you guys came to, and I had two concerns. One is related to the road that we suggested you move your traffic to, and I'm wondering why there couldn't be an easement between your company and the property owner that would grant your company the right to use that road. Because let's be honest, I mean, this doesn't really solve anything if tomorrow somebody tells you guys you can't use it, then she's right back in the same position. But an easement would go with the property, and that would really solve the problem. I don't know, you know, you'll have to kind of guide that. But that's what, if I were Ms. Frazier, that's what I would have tried to insist upon, is that in order for me to remove my objection to your planned development would be to get an easement on that property. So, and you're not the only property owner on that road that's bothered. They aren't here. They didn't sign this agreement. So I just think that would have been a better solution for all the people that live on that road that have to deal with the noise and the dirt, dust, and everything that comes with commercial traffic like you have with big trucks. And I don't know if that's a possibility, but that was one concern I had looking at this agreement. The second is the wording. It almost sounds like there's nobody responding. Apparently having Google Maps is an important thing in this day and age. I think the company should be responsible for taking care of that, and you may very well do it, but it's not clear in your agreement that you were going to see that the vehicles that make use of that will have access to that through Google Maps. I have no idea how that's accomplished. But those were my two concerns. And this is the time to get this as right as we can, because once it's signed and you accept this, it's a done deal. Okay?
So if you don't mind me interjecting.
No, no.
So the version of the agreement you guys have was the first initial version that Ms. Frazier didn't agree to. So this
Oh,
one is
okay.
edited. It does not have anything added saying that about Google Maps. We're still trying to get it on there,
Mhm.
but there's not a real human being you can talk to. You can go in there and submit a request. So I've tried to make 5 different accounts and submit a request, and then I've gone on like a couple different forums, try to see what other people have done to get a road added, and it's just kind of hit or miss. But I've been sending emails to their helpline, so hopefully I'll eventually get a real human being to talk to. But as of right now, I don't have a perfect solution to get it onto Google Maps.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that you're taking responsibility for that. Like I say, what I had to read didn't really sound that way. It was kind of like, if it ever gets done, it'll be on
Yeah.
there. And I'm going, well, that's not really what we need to know. We need to know that you
Yeah.
guys are gonna stay with it and get it done if it's that
And
important.
then this agreement also, that one was, Ms. Frazier pointed out that it was vague, not stating the road specifically, and then also she added in the addition of adding a 8 a.m. no deliveries before them, so that would be in the new agreement as well. Because before it didn't specify a time, it just said that we weren't going to use our vehicles on there, it was only deliveries.
Right.
And then with her feedback, we added in no deliveries before 8 a.m. And we've been trying to talk to our delivery drivers to use the other entrance, but with a lot of these companies, they have multiple different drivers, so you can't talk to every single person when they come in, or if there's a new driver who's never been there before, they're just going to type it in the GPS. So we are trying, but it's not going to be perfect, but it should get better over time as we see more of the drivers come in and let them.
And I think you're right about that. I really appreciate the fact that you were so willing to work with Ms. Frazier and the residents on that road. I mean, that's really being a great neighbor. What about the possibility of an easement? I mean, is that something we could advise them on, or, I mean, because honestly, in spite of all their good work and good intentions, if the owner of that property, whoever that may be, if they decide that they don't want those trucks on that road, all this is for nothing.
So it is a different owner, and I think that the property owner, that they'll have to work with the property owner to see if they'll grant that easement.
I think that's an important part of
In
some.
relation to the lot line, exactly where that road is. Let's see. So I think that's really a question for the business, if they could, if they feel like they have enough relationship with that property owner to ask for a permanent easement, just for ingress and egress.
What do you think?
Personally, I don't think we've had any contact with that property owner, so I don't know what our relation is currently or if they'll respond. We'd be willing to try, but we just don't know what they would say or anything like that. So we haven't had any contact with them in the past.
You just started using the road?
The road's been there, I think, since it's maybe 4 or 5 years old, I feel like. I could be wrong off by a year or
I think
two.
it's a little older than that, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that Cleveland Construction
Yeah, I think they made
put
it.
in that road, and they started using the road and put a stop sign up there.
So
And so
then
before they
using it, so Cleveland used that road.
did toward the end of their tenure there.
And you guys just started using it.
Yeah, so we purchased it afterwards. We used both roads, but we did use 592 more than the other road.
592 is the one that goes.
Yes,
by
the one that's
street.
adjacent to her property.
I don't know, to me, that's the best solution. But again, I guess that's up to the business to try and negotiate that. Weren't we talking about one building last meeting? And
Yes.
now we have 2?
Yes.
So it grew in 30 days to a totally different plan?
Well, we had the other building planned for in the future, but it seemed like this was going to be our only time where we'd be able to expand on this use, so we added it in. The shed is definitely the more important of the two. The other one is more so we don't have to have mobile trailers for our office workers in, so we can get those out of our yard and then have that. That's more down the line than the shed is. The shed is more of a current need for storing vehicles. The office / shed, which would be a majority of shed as well, as more quality of life for workers, so they're not having to be in mobile trailers with little tiny AC units, things like that.
Okay. My only concern was, as I said, last meeting, had to do with the residents, and I feel like this agreement, while it goes in the right direction, in my opinion, it doesn't go far enough to ensure that once this project is approved by this commission, that they will be protected. And at that point, there's really not anything that we can do. And we are, our chairman made a good point last time that the whole purpose of having non-conforming zoning is to eventually weed out those places that don't fit in. And so this is kind of going against that grain. However, I don't have a problem with your buildings as long as the residents along that road are protected. So that continues to be a concern for me. Thank you, sir.
Ms. Ferguson?
I agree with Dr. Butler. I saw that piece and a disclaimer underneath it as a very temporary solution that could end tomorrow. I mean, any act of God, which we have no control over, or the owner not allowing them to use that road. So if they could come up with something more substantial for Ms. Frazier and the rest of the homeowners on that street, that would be a lot more beneficial. And like Dr. Butler says, this is useless if that happens today or tomorrow. That was my concern, and the fact that non-conforming, thank you, that non-conforming is only because the business was there already before the law changed, and we don't want to just push them out. So we allow them to stay, but we don't really expect for them to expand. But again, if it's not disruptive to the neighborhood, then I guess it's okay.
Mr. Jenkins?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for trying to be a good neighbor. I really appreciate that. But Lisa, is the extra building is in compliance with the zoning ordinance, the extra building he's trying to put? Because when he came before us last time, it was just one.
It's on 20 acres, and they submitted a site plan along with that narrative, which was also, it's included in with the staff report. That does show where it would be located. Let's see. Say that. Yes, on the very back page. Shows both of them, so they can certainly meet the setbacks. Those buildings are proposed on the side by the landfill and away from the neighbors. They will need to go through the major site plan and all of that. You know, they will have to conform with the ordinance. They do have the room to do that. But we will check that through a site plan.
Well, the reason why I asked that question, because I want to make sure that the next person coming before us, you know, we won't have this problem. In the last meeting, that was my concern. And I thought one of the recommendations was that you tried to get an easement to that property. Weren't that one of our recommendation in the last meeting? That you talk to the person and see if you could get an easement?
I don't remember that.
Was it Lisa? Was that a recommendation?
Well, the recommendation was that he worked with the property owner to address the dust and the noise, and to see if the trucks could be could use the Highway 462 entrance. And if I might just make a suggestion only, if you're inclined to take action on this tonight and to approve this application, I think it would be fair, and hopefully the business owner would agree with us. We can do a conditional approval that they get the easement. Again, I do know this road has been used for quite some time now, for a number of years. So I think that would be fair, and then that would protect y'all as well, so that they're not being shut out of that road.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, I'm thinking that before y'all purchased it, if Cleveland built that road, you don't think that it's maybe a easement already been done, but it just hadn't been recorded?
I don't know if the easement is between Cleveland or if they did have one, it would be between Cleveland and not us. And I don't know if that gets inherited when you purchase the property. I haven't heard anything about that. I can definitely look into it, but as of right now, I've not heard anything about the easement.
Sometimes people grant the easement and it don't get recorded because once they grant the easement, it's out. But as Ms. Wagner say, we could give a conditional approval that you could, that protects you and that protects Ms. Frazier. Any other questions or comments from the commissioners? I'm ready to entertain a motion.
Lisa's gonna look it up. You wanna wait and see if it's there?
I've looked it up before. I don't remember that being in there, but I was just gonna look real
Oh,
quickly.
okay.
It's not there, Lisa.
Motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll offer
She's checking to see
Oh.
whether they need a conditional if the easement been recorded.
We can look a little further into the deed, but I think there might be an easement there. This is old one from when Mr. Donnie Malphurs had it. It's showing on the plat.
Okay.
Yeah, you can.
Okay. I move that we would follow the staff recommendation to allow 2 equipment sheds to be built at 436 Chandler Road, conditional upon an easement for traffic to be allowed, all of their traffic to be allowed on, what is that road called?
I don't think it has a road name, but it's the Highway 462.
The Highway
entrance.
462 entrance to the property. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That'll do it? Okay.
Motion by Dr. Buckley, second. Second by Ms. Ferguson, that we grant them the opportunity to extend two buildings with, making sure that they have an easement for the 462 exit of the property. Ready for question? Hearing none, all in favor of such motion, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed by the same sign. It's approved.
Thank you.
The next on the agenda is new business, expansion of legal non-conforming use of 98 Peaceboro Road, Low Country Gun and Range. We got 2 people from that area, so I know they. So you want to go first, Ms. Ferguson?
Well, I did have a question about them having to be designated as manufacturer. What is something going to be created there, or?
Is to assemble the firearms, and it's my understanding that, this used to be, did I have it in here? I think South.
Ms. Wagner, I went ahead. Give us a narrative.
Okay. Well, I wasn't sure. I thought you were supposed to. So this is the same type of application and expansion of a legal non-conforming use in the applicant's Low Country Guns and Range. That Low Country Guns and Range, Mr. Rossi, has submitted a request to expand a legal non-conforming use to allow for the assembly of firearms and firearm accessories at their gun range facility. The subject property is located at 98 Pierceburg Road. It consists of 1.5 acres. The property was originally developed in 2003 and was home to Palmetto Indoor Range and Sporting Goods, LLC. The property was legally permitted by Jasper County and is considered a legal non-conforming use. During the 2007 countywide rezoning, the site was made non-conforming. The property is currently zoned community commercial and lies within the Gateway Corridor Overlay District. Firearms retail is allowed within the community commercial zoning district, and gun ranges are allowed conditionally in the Gateway Corridor Overlay District. However, one of the conditions is that the gun ranges are not located within a mile of a residence. The applicant proposes to assemble firearms, which the ATF now requires the gun dealer to be considered a manufacturer. The nonconformity section of the Jasper County zoning ordinance allows for the expansion or alterations to the use which do not otherwise conform to all provisions of the ordinance, subject to planning commission's review and approval. As far as their proposal, they've submitted a request via a zoning certificate to be designated as a manufacturer in addition to a gun range and a firearm dealer. The business use does not change from its previous use, nor will the footprint be expanded. In this case, the ATF is requiring that manufacturer be identified as part of the zoning compliance. Their business hours are from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Tuesday through Saturday, and they're closed on Sunday and Mondays. As far as the Planning Commission's review and the items that you look at, the proposed non-conforming use will be harmonious with the surrounding area. The property was developed as an indoor gun range, which included retail sales of firearms. While the ATF used to allow the gun dealers to assemble the firearms, they are now requiring them to be designated as a manufacturer. So the use will remain the same and the business operation will remain the same. There will be no alteration to the surrounding area. The proposed non-conforming use will be a desirable addition to the physical pattern of the neighborhood. The non-conforming use is not a new addition to the physical pattern of the neighborhood. Additionally, the business is located in a commercial area. Any additional traffic resulting from the proposed non-conforming use will not be a burden on existing streets. There will be no additional traffic that will be a result of designating them as a manufacturer. No adverse environmental impacts, including noise, smoke, dust, fumes, vapors, gases, heat, odor, glare, vibration, etc., will be created by the proposed non-conforming use. The assembly of firearms will not create any of those conditions, and there's no change in the use. So there will be no additional impacts created. There's no new outdoor storage or activities proposed that will require any increased setbacks or buffers. And the proposed use is considered to be a benefit to the community and Jasper County as a whole by implementing goals of the Jasper County Comprehensive Plan. The economy chapter goal is to develop businesses, attract public and private investment, grow jobs, decrease unemployment, and strengthen the local economy. While this is a business opportunity, the comprehensive plan does not specifically speak to this situation from an economic perspective. However, the business is established and contributes to the Jasper County tax base. Public notice letters were sent to area property owners on September 25th, and the subject property was posted on September 26, 2024, with a public hearing notice satisfying those requirements. Staff does recommend approval to allow the business to add manufacturer to their zoning certificate in order to meet the ATF requirements.
So,
Now, what was your question?
so you're saying that nothing has changed?
It is my understanding that they've always assembled, so it's a new business. The Low Country Guns and Range, it's the same type of business, but a new owner, basically.
Right, I understand.
It's my understanding that they have assembled the firearms at this location. What happened, they needed to get a zoning certificate, and we wrote that certificate up as an indoor gun range and retail sales. And they've requested the manufacturer be added on there. We looked at the previous business license. It really didn't say that it's a manufacturer in any way to assemble the firearms, so staff doesn't want to put that in a zoning compliance without planning commission reviewing that and approving
So there's
it.
no parts that are being made at this place, they're just assembling what they get in?
It's assembly of, and the applicant's here, so they could speak to you about that, but they're not making the gun parts, they're assembling it.
That's the concern I have, because if you say manufacturer on here, there's the potential that they can make parts and not just assemble parts. So my question is, how do we monitor that, or how do we control that? I'm trying to think of the word when someone is supposed to come out and check on stuff and they don't follow up to make sure that that's all they're doing. I mean, how do we know that this doesn't turn into a manufacturing facility? A real...
I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's an
No, I've been
indoor.
there. I've
You
been
have?
there.
Okay, so
But
it's
what-
an
No, I
indoor.
understand, but what it says here on paper, because, and I'm not saying that they'll do this, but they can come back and say, well, they said we can manufacture stuff, so we're gonna start molding parts here, you know. So, and based on this, we can't do anything about that, because we've already told them they can do it. That's,
So the
when I saw that
alcohol,
word, and then I see it says the business use does not change, but you have manufacturer here. That,
what I mean by
Sort of
that,
ambiguous.
what I mean by that is, it's my understanding they've always assembled firearms there.
Well,
Again,
I
they can
get it.
speak a little bit more to
I
that.
understand that.
Yeah.
It's just that manufacturer that we're adding.
So
That,
it's a change in the ATF rules, basically.
I know
Okay.
that, I know that. But what I'm saying is that the word manufacturer implies that they're actually, I mean, I can have a,
Would you like to hear from the donors?
Sure.
I think that would be best.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good evening.
Would you state your name for the record, please?
Alexander Rossi.
Okay,
Zachary Zito.
okay. Can you speak to the question she was asked about the manufacturing rather than this was not just assembling weapons?
Sure. Well, I thank you for bringing that up. And what we're looking to accomplish is, in the ATF, they define manufacturer. They count assembling a firearm as manufacturing. Now, the previous owner with Palmetto Indoor Range and Sporting Goods, part of his business was assembling firearms for customers that want to hunt. He built hunting rifles. The facility itself physically isn't set up to really manufacture. It requires a lot of money and equipment, and we physically, if we wanted to, we didn't even have the space. And then we also have Palmetto State Armory, sandwiched between us and many other manufacturers. We're not looking to accomplish that. The ATF, with our current firearms license, would allow us to assemble firearms. And now, as of a few years ago, they require the designation of manufacturer, even if you want to just put parts together by hand. And we're just looking to continue that business the way the previous owner did.
so there is a distinction between someone or a facility that is assembling versus not assembling. There is a distinction where it doesn't require that word manufacturer on
The ATF they're pretty, that's a good point. I just want to make, the ATF really defines as manufacturing. I say assembling here now, just so we have a distinction.
Mhm.
I'm not looking to turn the place into a factory. I'm not looking to change the footprint at all or do anything with that. all I want to do is just be able to continue to put parts together for firearms.
So if you didn't do that, you wouldn't have to have manufacturing here.
Say if I put assemble,
If you did not assemble,
if I did not.
If you did not assemble the firearm, you wouldn't need to have the manufacturer designation. Is
so
that
that's what I
correct?
mean by distinction. Is there a distinction between a facility that assembles versus one that does not? So the one that does needs to have the manufacturer, and the one that does not need to have manufacturer?
Yes, correct.
Any more questions? Mr. Jenkins?
Hi, I'm Frank Rossi. I'm his dad. It's a valid question. The facility, in order to become a manufacturer, would need a lot bigger footprint and resources. The competition to do that, I mean, we would have to make a request to build a bigger building, more power, manufacturing, that kind of thing. The designation that the ATF has made is just a new thing, and all they do is clip the, if you take a thing and you buy it and you clip the other part on, they consider that manufacturing. In the board's eyes, manufacturing is a connotation of, a factory building guns, and it becomes but that would have to be a request for a bigger building, and it's just a retail space with a very small room that assemble, like it's a workbench to clip the parts together and clean the guns. And we would have to change things around and ask for a formal request. There's no danger now the way it is. They would have to make a second request to build, manufacture guns.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first, in the beginning, was a gun range. You just go there and you learn how to shoot. But what you were saying now, that you're turning this into, if I bring a gun in there and I ask you to tear this gun down and fix it and give it back to me, that's the type of stuff you're going to be doing. If I bring a gun in and say, well, the clip's not working, or maybe something is not working with this gun. So would you take this gun in and then clean it, put it back together, and then I could come in and pick up this gun? That is what you're going to do there?
Yes, sir. So we actually have the ability so there's several types of...
Are you speaking?
Sorry. Yes, sir. So there are several types of firearms, federal firearms licenses.
Right.
We're asking to switch from a type 1, which allows us to sell and clean guns.
Right.
However, if you were to purchase a frame, which you would have to do the background check on,
Right.
and you asked us to, you wanted to, let's just say you want to make a, you want to make a hunting rifle for yourself. You're going elk hunting. You wanted to buy you want us to assemble that firearm for you. You wanted to buy the parts and the frame for us and have us put it together.
Right.
We could not physically do that legally at this moment.
Oh, okay.
So it wouldn't be any different than you bringing that gun for me to clean right now and taking it all apart and putting it back together. I cannot just take a new gun and put it together for you, which is what we're asking for first.
Oh, okay.
So you could bring me a completely built firearm and say, I built this at home, it's not working, and I can legally fix it. You can't buy the parts for me, and I can't put it together for you now.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
My concern is not with what you're doing with the property, and I feel comfortable that what you're doing is fine. My concern has to do with changing adding this to their zoning manufacturer. So what does this expansion of use, what will that allow another company that they may sell to, what will that allow them to do only under the manufacturing addition to the zoning? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. I think because this is a review on a case-by-case basis, I think it would, if you were inclined to approve this, you could make that very clear that the only thing you're approving is the assembly of the firearm, and I think he even said by hand, right?
Okay, well, again, I'm not
just-
really concerned with them.
But that's
I'm-
all it would allow, if that's
A new
clear, that that's
owner?
all you grant approval for.
And that would go with the zoning for the property, not just the.
Yeah, so see, the zoning's not gonna change. The zoning
Okay.
will stay as it is.
Okay,
The indoor range is, it's a legal non-conforming use. The retail sales is allowed currently.
right.
So it's a by right use. Because there is another designation of the manufacturer, I think you can really hone in on that and make it very specific to what you're approving, and then it'll go in record that that's the approval that was given. So
Okay,
it's
well,
not
that's-
gonna change the zoning, but that's just gonna be the additional approval given.
Okay, well, that was my concern, that we're not opening this up to another buyer who may come in and do a completely different type of business there.
And that's, with these non-conforming uses, we don't want to bring them in and ask you to rezone the property and open it up for more potentially larger uses that could be allowed by right.
Okay,
So
you're right.
that's why we have this particular ordinance where you can do a case-by-case review.
Okay, and that will continue. Okay, I got you.
Mr. Chairman, while Lisa's standing, am I in order just to ask Lisa a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Lisa, since this would be the first in Jasper County, our enforcement officer would make sure they're, yeah, I meant, this would be the first for Jasper County. Who would police this? Would our enforcement officer be responsible for making sure that they are doing what they're supposed to be doing down there? Who would police? ATF, Jasper County, Sheriff Department?
Well, I do believe, does ATF come and do
ATF.
an inspection every so often?
Not every year.
ATF comes and what they do is it's called an audit, so they make sure all our books are compliant, which means everything's logged in properly, we aren't doing what we're not supposed to. So right now, like, let's just say I had, sorry, to go back to the point where let's say you wanted me to build you a hunting rifle, if they came in and they saw that you brought that frame to me as parts, I would not be in compliance with them. And they go back and they look at all our books from the previous years. So they might come once a year, they might come once every 2 years. It's really up to their discretion, but they do come in and follow up and make sure that we are conforming to the license, because they will revoke that license immediately.
So if they come in and find you under non-compliance, who would they file a complaint with? Jasper County? If you are under non-compliance and they happen to write you up for something, who would they file?
They would take action.
They would take action. They would arrest us immediately.
Good enough.
They would arrest us immediately.
Okay. I just want to make sure, because this is the first.
No,
Jasper.
I completely understand.
Yeah.
And the reason we're coming to you is because we want to do it the right way, and we're not trying to,
Right.
find loopholes and exploit the system. We're really trying to do this on the up and up.
And we'll be specific if you're specific in your approval, we'll be specific in that zoning certificate
Okay.
compliance.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I have a question. I know we have our guidelines as county government. ATF have their guidelines, that's state that y'all. But it would have been nice, a copy of their guidelines have been put in our packet.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
So we'll know.
Because I mean, I think with the guns, they got state and they got federal level guidelines that y'all have to meet. And, it would have been nice that we could have seen what they are. We would have known more what we approve of and what you can do and what you can't do. And because somebody in the county will be watched up, because if they don't come inspect it, they can report you to the state that you're not following the guidelines, because people order stuff offline now, they can build weapons of all magnitude.
Yes, sir, and no, at the same time, I'm a certified gunsmith. That's what I went to school for. It's been kind of blown out of proportion what the media has told you about building weapons at home. There are some that you can, but there's a lot that you cannot do. It takes a little bit of know-how to put these things together. So
Yeah, but the bump stock, where they can make it change from a semi to automatic,
It's not quite how it works, and they don't work very well.
You mean I can't use my 3D printer?
If you get it to work, you let me know. I'd like to have a few tips from you.
And you know the United States have a problem with ghost guns.
Oh, I do understand that.
So we have to be careful. Jasper County is just a small little place, and we don't want to.
No, I understand. We don't intend to bring any trouble.
Okay.
That's why we're here trying to do this the right way.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions or comments from the commission? So I'm ready to entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that this planning commission accept the staff recommendation to allow the business to add manufacturer to their zoning certificate in order to meet the ATF requirements, with the condition that the certificate will be strictly limited to the assembly of firearms and firearm accessories at their gun range facility. Will that do it?
Yes.
That's what you need? Okay.
You've heard the motion from Dr. Buckler. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Jenkins. Ready for question? Hearing none, all in favor of such motion, let it know by saying aye. Any opposed, by the same sign. It's approved. Staff recommendation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next thing on our agenda is zoning map amendment and conceptual plan approval, plan development district, Jasper Telfair, tax map number 03700-02-014 and 037-00-02-017 and 037-00-02-018. Ms. Wagner, you can,
The applicant is Jasper Telfair 1 LLC. They're requesting an approval of a planned development district zoning designation for a commercial property, which will be known as Jasper Telfair. Included with the zoning map amendment application as a PDD document and concept plan. The project site consists of 3 parcels totaling approximately 30 acres and is located along Highway 17, Speedway Boulevard, and immediately south of the intersection of Highway 315, which is South Oakity Highway. The properties are currently zoned general commercial and they're undeveloped, although the trees were removed under a tree clearing and mass grading permit. In accordance with Article 8.1 of the Jasper County Zoning Ordinance, the intent of a PDD is to encourage flexibility in the development of land to promote its most appropriate use and to do so in a manner that would enhance public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. The PDD regulations are intended to accomplish the purpose of zoning and other applicable regulations to an equivalent or higher degree and are designed to control unscheduled development on individual lots or tracts, promote economical and efficient land use, provide an improved level of amenities, foster a harmonious variety of uses, encourage creative design, and produce a better environment. In view of the substantial public advantage of planned development, it is the intent of the PDD regulations to promote and encourage or require development in this form where appropriate in character, timing, and location, particularly in large undeveloped tracts. All PDDs shall conform to the Jasper County Comprehensive Land Use Plan and Land Use Map, the latest edition. According to the 2018 Jasper County Comprehensive Plan, the future land use map identifies this area as resource conservation, which are areas that fall alongside the rivers that flank the east and west of Jasper County. These areas are vital components to the riverine systems and also provide critical habitat for plants and wildlife. These areas are dominated by hydric soils, which are frequently associated with wetlands. In addition, these soils are very poorly suited to support septic systems. The adjacent land uses and zoning designations to the north is vacant property. It's in the city of Hardyville, and it's zoned PDD through the city. To the south is the SCAD Equestrian Center, which is zoned rural preservation, and just south of that is the Telfair Residential Subdivision, and that's zoned Telfair PDD. And both of those properties are located within unincorporated Jasper County. To the west, that property is vacant, undeveloped. It is, I believe it's a PDD through the city of Hardyville, but it has been annexed and is a part of the city of Hardyville, and I think they designated it as a PDD. The adjacent property to the east is vacant, undeveloped, and it's known as the Delta Bluffs PDD. It's zoned rural preservation. I'm sorry, it's zoned PDD. I don't know why I just said rural preservation. This in unincorporated Jasper County. The subject properties are accessed by Speedway Boulevard, which is Highway 17, and South Oakity Highway, which is 315. 17 is currently being widened to a 4-lane state-maintained highway. It's classified as a major arterial. And Highway 315, the South Oakity Highway, is a 2-lane state-maintained highway classified as a major collector. The Jasper Telfair Concept Plan illustrates the proposed use, the general layout, and access points. A master plan will be submitted separately and will provide additional information regarding the proposed layout of the development. The PDD will establish the access points, the one on Highway 17 and one on Highway 315. The one on 17 would be a full access point, and the one on Highway 315 would be a limited right turn only. The land uses would be general commercial and light industrial. The density is a maximum density of 360,000 square feet. Open space, a minimum of 15% open space based on total acreage, with only 50% of freshwater wetlands, lagoons, ponds, and lakes counting towards the open space. And the stormwater management, best management practices will be used in the development to ensure runoff leaving the site meets South Carolina Department of Environmental Services, Office of Ocean and Coastal Resource Management, and Jasper County standards for water quality. Setbacks, building setbacks will be a minimum of 100 feet from Highway 17 and 50 feet from Highway 315, with a 20-foot perimeter buffer from the adjacent property to the south, 10 feet on the north, east, and west property lines. Tree preservation standards are 15 trees per acre. Landscaping standards, a landscape buffer will be provided along Speedway Boulevard and South Oakity Highway. The Jasper Telfair PDD and concept plan meets the requirements of the PDD application and concept plan as outlined in Article 817 of the Jasper County zoning ordinance. A traffic impact study was prepared for the property by Lowe Engineers, which shows that 569 new daily vehicle trips will be generated, with 64 trips occurring during the AM peak hour and 67 trips occurring during the PM peak hour. The study recommends installing a northbound right turn storage lane of 100 feet and a southbound left turn storage lane of 200 feet along Highway 17. The study also recommends installing an eastbound right turn storage lane of 100 feet and a westbound left turn storage lane of 200 feet on Highway 315. Will serve letters from Hargray, Dominion Energy, and Beaufort Jasper Water Sewer Authority have been provided. Notices have been sent to all adjacent property owners, notifying them of the applicant's request to have the properties designated as PDD and providing them with an opportunity to comment. In addition, 2 zoning application signs were placed on the project site, one on Highway 17 and one on Highway 315. A zoning designation of PDD does not entitle an applicant or owner of the affected property a right to develop or engage in any land use or land disturbance activity other than the right in existence at the time of the concept plan approval to engage in development of any land use or land disturbance activity. A master plan and subsequent development plan must be approved for the areas to be developed. While the concept plan is very generalized, a master plan is a more refined document which will be reassessed by the Planning Commission at a future date. Staff does recommend approval of the PDD designation, the PDD document, and the concept plan. And the applicant is here with us tonight, and their representative.
Yes, would you let the applicant
And their
representative
engineers.
speak to us, please?
Their attorney and engineers here as well. I'm sorry.
Would you let the applicant and
Sure.
their representative speak?
Would you like to address?
Good evening. My name is Bart Barano, and I'm the managing member of Jasper Telfair 1 LLC. I'm one of 4 members, my wife, my daughter, my son, so a family affair. We have been working with Lisa and Jasper County now for maybe 2 or 3 years on trying to figure out the best and highest and best use for this project. And we think we've come upon this with an industrial site, and we have worked on these 2 buildings. One's approximately 200,000 square feet, the other would be about 130, 140 square feet. We've been through a wetlands mitigation. The project came with wetlands, about 24.1 credits of wetland mitigation credits were required. We did that work. We completed that here recently. That's part of the site clearing, tree removal project, clearing and grading project that Lisa was talking about. And we are now, we've certified to the Corps of Engineers that the wetlands have been removed. We've received clarification back from the Corps. They're in Charleston that those mitigation efforts have been approved. And so we are now wanting to work with the county to come up with a plan development district that will allow us to know what the rules are going forward to develop that. And we think in the best case is an industrial warehouse project. So we worked with the engineers on setbacks and building aesthetics and so forth. So they're here today, both my legal counsel and engineer, to answer any questions on those topics.
And Chairman Pinckney, I should have said in my presentation, I'm sorry, I forgot. We have, I think since about April, we've been going back and forth on the PDD document, and we have tried to bring something to you that took away some of those uses that would be allowed in general commercial. So some negotiations been back and forth. They have, as you can see in the document, put a good many of the uses listed them as prohibited. So it's not wide open to every use in general commercial. But we work with them on increasing the required setbacks for the building. So what we're presenting to you is a higher design than what would just be allowed under a regular general commercial by right zoning.
Right, and we were happy to do that. We want to be good neighbors. We know that's a key visual focus coming into South Carolina from Savannah, and want to be part of a proud project.
Dr. Buck, do you have any questions for me?
I have a couple. Lisa, did you get any responses to the notices you put out?
I did not.
Okay. Did you guys consider, let's see, how many, they're covered in terms of their proximity to Hardyville directly on?
Adjacent, the other inner side of Highway 315 is in the city of Hardyville, that's a PDD.
So they're eligible?
They're eligible, yes,
Okay.
and across Highway 17.
Okay, did you consider annexation into the city of Hardyville?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, that's part of our which plan that we suggest that.
This particular one doesn't, but I'm sorry, let me grab the staff report.
Okay.
As far as the designation by the comprehensive plan, it's not in that transitional zone. Hardyville's limits do go out a little further. They are eligible to annex.
Right.
But in accordance with the comprehensive plan, their resource conservation, so it wasn't.
I'm sorry.
It wasn't that transition. It's resource conservation. It wasn't the transitional zone. So it's the transitional zone that we do highly recommend.
Okay,
annex.
so they don't fall into that. Okay. So you're not interested in annexing?
Not at this time. We've enjoyed working with you all.
Okay. Lisa, this is another kind of general question. When a PDD is granted, that PDD doesn't have an end date or end of life date on it, right?
The PDD does not. It's a zoning change, so it goes with the property. The development agreement, however, does.
Okay, well, I'm just thinking that granting this, we don't have the ability to say that after a certain point, they must comply with any new rules that come from the council. I think
No, basically the zoning would be locked in, but in this document, like any environmental standards, you do have to meet, and the document states that you'll meet the most current, whatever, say they don't build for 3 or 4 years, then we have a newer stormwater ordinance, they would have to meet that current stormwater.
And that's my concern, or that whatever happens, and you don't continue with your project and it goes to the side and somebody else picks it up later, 10 years later. I'm sure that wouldn't happen, but I want to make sure that that can't happen. I'm thinking of the density in Purisburg from Rockport. And
so the basic zoning standards, they would be locked into. As you can see, though, we have some additional things. There's a 50-foot natural gas line. Sorry, I didn't mention that either. Along Highway 17. So within that 50 feet, it's difficult for them to provide the 50-foot landscape buffer. But we did address that in the document. I think in the back half, 10 feet or 15 feet of that easement, they can do like some shrubs. And they would have a total of 25-foot landscaping buffer. They would have an additional buffer in front of that because it's the gas line easement that wouldn't have any landscaping. So that would be a zoning standard that's been designated in this PDD. They would have the 100-foot building setback.
Right.
That would be, if they were coming in under a regular application on a 4-lane highway, that would only need to be 60 feet. So where we've identified these certain things for zoning, that will be the rule of law for this
going forward
property.
Forever.
But anywhere where we didn't address it, then they have to meet the current ordinance. So let's say something in the current ordinance changes by the time they build, they would be locked into the current standards, except for, again, the environmental standards like the stormwater. In here it says you're going to meet the most current stormwater ordinance.
Okay, well, I guess that was a conversation maybe for another time, but I just wondered if that was wording that we need to add to whatever we put in there, because I think it's important not to have it last forever because things change. But anyway, okay, thank you very much. Lisa, I guess this is you. I'm sorry.
Quite all right.
50% of the open space is in ponds, lagoons, and lakes. Is that set in stone? I mean, I think that's important on the property to have open space, and having it just in your ponds, I don't think that's a good thing.
So that is what is proposed in the document, so whatever open space they need to provide, the 50% of that, so half of that could not include the wetlands and the lagoons, but they could
Is
use
that up to
that
us?
as the other 50%.
Is that up to us?
You can certainly make a recommendation if you feel that it needs to be something different. You recommend that to county council.
Okay. So it's a minimum of 15% open space based on the total acreage. And then half of that's going to be in ponds and not in true open space or land. That's right? I mean, that's what it says here. I just read
But
it.
I'm just going to turn to the document there.
Yes. Yeah.
In front of you. So what the document says is total open space for the property shall be calculated based on their combined acreage and not a site-specific basis for each phase of development or project located therein. The open space shall provide at least 15% total open space based upon the total upland acreage. Passive open space shall consist of the following, and it lists the landscape surface areas, lagoons, ponds, impoundments, lakes. Freshwater wetlands, only 50% of the freshwater wetlands, lagoons, ponds, and lakes count toward open space. The wetland buffers, the forest, wildlife preserves, corridors, green belts, perimeter buffers.
So that's pretty much what I said, right? What I read.
Yes,
When you say total acreage, you're talking about all three pieces of property combined.
yes,
Right.
it will be one project site, so.
Right. I mean, there's not any other land you're talking about other
No.
than those three? Okay. And we have the ability to request that they have more than 7.5% of land that's open. Is that right?
Yeah, you can make any recommendation.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, that was the other thing. I'm not sure I didn't read the traffic study, but in this piece of information you gave us, they're recommending right turn lanes. Is that decided by the state? Is that just a recommendation from the traffic study, or?
So that is a recommendation based on the traffic engineer who prepared this report, but it is submitted to DOT, basically for their approval.
So they
comment,
will decide that
concerns.
if it actually happens, but it's recommended right now
Yes.
by their person. Okay. Do we know what's going around them in terms of the PDDs from Hardyville? Do we know what kind of development is anticipated? Is it other large warehouses like this will be, or?
I believe the property, let me get my bearings, to the west is going to be that type of use, but I can't say that 100% certain, but I believe so. And then the site to the north, I'm not familiar. That's an old PDD that's been out there for years and allowed mixed use, and I don't know.
That's what I'm talking about.
I don't know what's proposed there, if anything.
are
We have the one to the east, and that was mixed use, and that one's old as dirt. But and we have no interest there. Matter of fact, if somebody came in on that, we would recommend certainly having to probably amend the PDD, enter into a new development agreement because it's long expired.
Are there any, there are absolutely no residential landowners, or there's not a chance this can affect residents of Levy like that other place did down the road?
There's not any existing residential right in this area, but to be honest, the Delta Bluffs PDD does allow residential. Again, that's the one that
their development agreements expired. In order for them to do anything, I know we would recommend them coming back with an amended PDD and a renewed development agreement. So and then again, I don't know what's planned to the north. The closest residential site is the Telfair PDD, which is down the road, closer to Savannah from here, just a little bit down the road.
How close is the potential Telfair PDD to this property?
I could pull it up on the map if you'd like, but you have the SCAD Equestrian Center that's between the Telfair and this site.
Okay. So what kind of buffer is going to be between this project and, is that SCAD?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of buffer is going to
So
be?
there's a 20-foot perimeter buffer. I do believe the site plan shows what?
On the south side.
Yeah, a 20-foot perimeter buffer, because that's the one to the south side. Let's see, I think this. The concept plan is shown in Index C in the binder. And to the south side, they are proposing like the stormwater. Of course, you know, to be honest, I guess that could change, but their engineers here tonight, and you know, the concept plan can change, so I'm not going to say it's set in stone, but that's what's proposed. And if it is the final plans, or if they're developed anything similar to this, then of course you're going to have your 20-foot perimeter buffer, but there will actually be an additional area setback from SCAD used for drainage, as shown on the concept plan. Again, that can change. So,
okay, and I guess the last thing I have a concern about is the surface, I guess the parking surface and that area where water, where does it go? How is, and I'm, you know, if that's in here, I didn't see it.
So, I mean, in accordance with OCRM, Jasper County stormwater standards, well, they're showing these retention ponds here, but they'll have to capture a certain amount of the rainfall, and it no more, the post-development cannot exceed the pre-development. So the engineer can speak better to that, just because I'm not an engineer, but those things that would be reviewed by South Carolina Department of Environmental Services, as well as Jasper County's engineer consultant during plan review, to make sure that stormwater doesn't have any negative impacts on property owners upstream or downstream.
So we'll get more information on that at a later time?
Yes,
Yeah,
during
okay.
master plan.
Okay.
Yes.
And finally, I did have one other thing. The issue of parking, when will that be addressed? That was a big deal with one of the warehouse things we approved, was the amount of parking, because I assume there are going to be a lot of those semis coming in and out of this.
So,
location.
yeah, and there is a lot of parking. The Jasper County standards are extremely high when you get into the warehouse at the larger sites. So a variance has been granted on this previously. And I'm sorry, I should have included that information. I still
variance
believe
for the
it's
parking?
on the parking, yes.
Why was that?
That was a while back. It's been a good while back. I can pull that up as well.
when we first started working on this project. If my memory serves correctly, I believe the county would have required like 2,000 spaces, and I believe with the variance that it's reduced to still over 1,000 spaces.
Say that again, I misunderstood apparently.
Based on the proposed square feet and the Jasper County zoning standards, parking requirements, I believe there would have been like 2,000
Oh,
spaces
2,000, okay.
required. Does that sound about right, Evan?
Drastic, I'm really rushing to try to pull it up now.
Because we went through this with the I-95, the 95 logistics, so.
Well, that's what that's who I was.
And I could go pull
thinking.
this up and see, and I think there still will be like over 1,000 spaces required, even with the variance.
That was, your office made that decision to reduce?
It went to the Board of Zoning Appeals. It was a complete application to the Board of Zoning Appeals,
Oh,
not made by
this.
staff.
Not this, right? How many parking, this will have 1/2 of what would be required, or are we talking about different things?
No, probably I'm sure it's more than 1/2 of what was required. But it's excessive. We had presented other standards, like Bryan County, Chatham County, Bluffton, Beaufort County, and that's where we learned that our standards are going to create a whole bunch of additional impervious surface that may not necessarily be needed.
Okay. So tonight, we are just approving this as a PDD?
Just the zoning and the concept plan. And the concept plan, again, this will not give them permission to move forward with any type of land development. That still has to come back through y'all for a master plan approval, but it would move forward to the county council for consideration of the rezoning, the PDD document, and then of course the county council will also, they'll require the development agreement, and so that would be included.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Here,
Mr. Jacob?
Lisa, this plan only consists of 2 large buildings. One is 220,000 square feet, and the other is 100.
Yeah, that's correct. That's what is shown on the concept plan of being proposed at this time. Yes.
Is there any way you could pull up figure 1 so I could see where this property is?
Oh, sure.
I know the area, but I just don't know exactly
Sure.
where the property is.
Not a problem.
Thank you, ma'am.
Let's zoom out just a little bit here. So this here's Highway 315, and this is Highway 17. Oops. This here is GAD right here, the Equestrian Center. It's these 3 properties. This one right on the corner, one south, and then the other one. These 3 properties. I'll just go ahead and highlight the one, and then it's those.
Can you show us the city of Hardyville? Oh, I'm sorry.
I can.
Excuse me.
Well, go ahead, Lisa. While you at it, just go ahead and show it to it. Then I'll ask the
Yep,
next
this is
question.
the town of Hardyville in
Okay.
red. So also,
This one
let me just
continues.
real quickly put on, so
Sorry.
She's on the continuous.
this isn't showing as a PDD, but I feel sure all that was. And so I don't know for sure this property here on the east, but the zoning, because it's not labeled, but I think it's going to be a PDD. And again, here's your city limits.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, my final question. Do you have a picture of what these buildings would look like? Can you show? Because I'm just concerned about what they got down in Levy. You know, when you see those, you know, that's just my concern. I don't know, but is it any way you can show us what the building?
We don't have that, but there will be architectural features required, and that basically architectural standards are listed in the PDD, and because that is part of the Highway Corridor Overlay District. I don't really have pictures of it, but they may use parapet. I didn't say that word right, sorry. But it will be a nice looking building.
Okay, because I'm just concerned because we're getting a lot of these buildings, these storage buildings in Jasper County. And I'm just concerned, I don't misunderstand me now, I'm misusing this word. I just don't want Jasper County to look like some out junkyard. Look, you know, with all these big metal buildings. We're getting a lot, and Jasper County is not a big county. And we have been getting a lot of these buildings in Jasper County. And I'm just concerned at what the aesthetic is, what they look like, and, you know, to make sure they're buffered right, make sure they look decent.
And that is
I'm
what
just
we
concerned.
expressed to them in the beginning. You know,
Okay.
what was important to us was
Right.
basically the traffic and the aesthetics,
Okay.
especially on this particular highway.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, ma'am.
I have a question for the engineer. You said our consultant engineer will be working with, because I see in the Corps of Engineer report that there's some special conditions with all the wetlands with that area where you proposing for this PDD.
First off, my name's Evan Bennett. I'm with S.E. Gabel, representing the applicant. So just to make sure I understand the question, are you asking if we're impacting any wetlands on this site?
Yeah, I mean, in the offset, he said that, you know, he set higher standards. But in order to accomplish all these setbacks and the things and park and everything, with Corps engineer pointed out in his report that there are some special conditions that they want you to meet on this piece of property. Are you going to be able to meet those conditions with what the Corps engineers are asking?
As far as I'm aware, and I'll get the owner to confirm this, I believe we've already met all of the Corps of Engineers requirements, all of their conditions. The conditions that were laid out were conditions of their approval for the property owner to fill and mitigate the wetlands that were on the site. So that work has been completed, and all of the conditions that were listed in that approval by the Corps of Engineers have been satisfied. Is that stated accurately?
Yeah, that's correct. So the Corps of Engineers has a permit that was provided several years ago, and it was transferred over to me from Tom Zinn, who was the prior owner. It had a list of general conditions and special conditions. So I can present that permit to you all, and it lists everything we had to do. For instance, we had to purchase 24.1 credits, wetland mitigation credits, which is a federal requirement. If you're going to remove wetlands, you need to buy credits to go recreate those wetlands somewhere else, much like a carbon credit that's very prevalent these days. And so anyway, we met all those conditions. I'm guessing there are roughly 12 very specific conditions showing evidence of the permit from Jasper County, certain conditions from South Carolina Department of Health and Engineering. We had of course, all the core requirements, and so there was a very well documented list of action items that had to be done to meet those requirements to truly mitigate and remove the wetlands. So there are no wetlands there anymore. Those are now been completely removed.
Yeah, I want to be sure because I know that the area that you propose is a very, very low area, and it could have an impact on the surrounding area if that water is not run off properly.
Right, so now that's maybe back to the design, Evan, where you're talking about we have detention ponds that are bigger, to retain the water and whatnot. You can speak to that. That's
All right.
a requirement.
If you look on the concept plan, you'll see some pretty sizable detention facilities that are proposed in concept. We have actually already gone through a decent amount of design on this project and have established that those ponds are adequate, more than adequate actually. We were fairly conservative with them to make sure we could meet all of the regulations that are applicable to the site.
So, Mr. Wagner, but before, we actually approved the PD, but before they can do construction, our consultant engineer would have to look at that and make sure that everything has been done as properly as it's supposed to be.
So with the PDD, just the rezoning and the concept plan, that's not necessary, but when we do our, before we ask you for any type of subdivision approval, if this were to be subdivided, I don't think that's the plan here. We would certainly go that route. And again, we would bring a master plan back to you because that would be needed prior to them submitting any development plans for construction.
Yeah, because I see it started with the co-engineers as early as 2009, 2000.
So in the Jasper Telfair document, that whole wetlands permit is in there from the Army Corps. And Mr. Barano is correct. The project has just been closed out. All the work's been done. They had to do that before the wetland permit expired. So, and I just checked the, I don't know why, just the other day I went and checked the National Wetland Inventory and I was just looking at this property and I could show you that map. I thought it was a little interesting. So this here's the site and it's showing no wetlands.
That's good to see.
How are the wetlands designated on this map?
So these wetlands are across Highway 17, and of course this here is part of the Delta Bluffs track over here, and then over here.
But how do I know I'm looking at wetlands when I look at that map? Is
See at the bottom, the legend.
Yeah, the legend.
That's okay.
There's a
Okay.
light green and a dark green. It looks like.
Okay.
Yeah. And Councilperson Jenkins, I share your concern on putting something there that is attractive, that we're all proud of. I'm putting my name on it, and I want to have something again that we're all pleased is there. It's got to be commercially viable. That's very important. So shrinking the site and making it smaller where I can't get the square footage on there that's competitive with other warehouses in Savannah and of course that have already come over here to South Carolina. It's important that we can all come up with something that works commercially. And I can appreciate we want to make it look pretty, but also hide it. I get it. I see how we do things around here, and it's very nice to put green in front, put a curtain in front. So,
I mean, my major concern is a little further up the road, they did an extensive study. They had no way for the water to go. And it was, at one point we had trouble, the water was flooding out I-95. When the other things was developed, they didn't design the wetlands to move that water where it's supposed to go. It's still under review and study. So I'm very concerned, and like you said, they laid out the 12 things you need to do. And I'm looking at it and say, I know this show here where you applied and they approved it, but it said the conditions. But like you say, we'll get a chance to look at this at another point to make sure that all is done. And I'm not a professional, so our consultant will advise us that everything has been done correctly.
right. And again, to clarify, the Corps of Engineer permits was just those steps. Again, I say 12, but I'll say it's 12. Those steps were what we had to do to mitigate the wetlands, not drain the area and all. That's an engineering matter that involves civil engineering, not the Corps of Engineers. That was not their area of expertise here, nor their domain. It was all only just to mitigate and remove the wetlands. So it'd be up to Husky Gay Bill. They have to do the design that makes us all happy, including me. Right? Most importantly, me, because we can't have a site that doesn't drain. It has to drain, appropriately. But this is the Low Country. We've got experts here that know how to handle water. I know that. So, and Husky Gay Bill has a great reputation to do that, and that's why they're on the team.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate that. I've been on this commission. Am I in order, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been on this commission long enough to see businesses come and go. And when they go, the county is left with these buildings. I hope you'll be here forever, but I'm just concerned in case if you have to go, Jasper County won't be left with a big old metal building and that's my concern, because we're getting a lot of these in the Jasper County, and I don't want to see Jasper County be left with all these metal buildings that are not maintained.
Right. Now, Riverport up the way, not too far, I think has some very attractive warehouses.
Right. Okay.
And I think they're even more attractive warehouses than that. And so that will be part of the architectural design requirement.
Yes.
Pop outs and all these things. I mean, you're starting to see that because everybody's concerned about it. Right? We're not talking about corrugated metal and flat roofs, shed like these are pretty fancy and frankly very expensive warehouses.
Yes, sir.
So,
thank you.
but I share your concern.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Is there any questions or comments from any on the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I'll offer a motion if you.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm ready to the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I offer a motion that we approve the zoning map and the zoning and conceptual plan approval for tax map 037 000214, 037 0002071, and 037 0002018 for approval. It's 17. I'm sorry. Instead of 71, it's 17. Thank you.
Do we have to accept the PDD document? Do we have to include the PDD document in a
No.
motion?
She said it's a PD.
PDD. I meant PDD. Yeah,
The
I'm sorry.
zone map amendment for the PDD district and the concept plan.
Right.
Well, what about the following the conditions that you listed in your report?
I saw that today. I didn't really intend to do that.
Okay.
Oh.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
We've been working with them for a long time to get it right before it came to you.
Okay. Thank you.
So,
Thank you, sir.
For the record, restate your motion.
Okay.
Including that it's a PD.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the zoning PDD and the conceptual plan for district, the Jasper Telfair, OCL1 LLC. Tax map 037 0002014, 037 0002017, and 037 0002018 for approval.
Do I hear a second? Motion been by Mr. Jenkins to approve the PDD, second by Dr. Butler. Ready for question? Hearing none, all in favor of such motion, let know by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, by the same sign.
Do we have to include the concept plan in that motion?
I did.
You did?
I did.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
The next thing on the agenda is road name change. Not change, it's road name.
the applicant is Marlon Sheffield. This is a road name petition that had a road named Bunny Road. The applicant is requesting that this unnamed road be named Bunny Road. The subject road is a private maintained road serving 22 lots, which are all currently undeveloped and recently approved as an exempt subdivision in accordance with the state law. The subject road is located off of Gillison Branch Road and Langfordville Road. Emergency services determined that the road should be named because it's greater than 500 feet in length. A road name petition was properly filled out and submitted to Jasper County GIS Department and Emergency Services for review. In accordance with the Jasper County Code of Ordinances, the new road name, no new private road name shall be recognized by the county or added to the county's list of road names without the approval of the Planning Commission upon recommendation of the Address Program Administrator, which is now the GIS Department. New subdivision roads, whether public or private, shall be named when created through the land development process, which shall include the submission of road names to the Address Program Administrator, who shall make recommendation of the road names to the Planning Commission for approval. The name of any new road shall not duplicate or be confusingly similar to any other road name already existing in Jasper County. All proposed street names shall be submitted to Jasper County EMS Department and the DSR for recommendation to the Planning Commission for approval. The names of private roads, including mobile home roads, which require naming to facilitate postal delivery and emergency response, shall be recognized by the county at the request of the citizens who own property adjacent to the road. Such road must serve 3 households. The name of the private road shall be commonly known to the community. In the event that there are 2 or more recommendations of name, the Planning Commission shall determine the name given recognition to the name preferred by at least 51% of the property owners on the road. However, this shall not constitute acceptance or dedication of the road by the county for maintenance and other purposes. In this case, there are not 3 households located on the road yet. However, the lots are being sold and there will be future residents. They'll need to apply for addresses in order to get a building permit. The fire marshal has inspected the road and the road meets the International Fire Code for emergency access. A private road maintenance agreement has been provided as well as covenants. Emergency services has determined that the road should be named to help facilitate public safety and emergency response service. They also have reviewed it and concurred that there's no phonetic conflict and duplication of other road names.
So are there any questions coming from any of the commissions on this road name?
I just have one question. What is the significance? Usually a road is named after someone or something.
They're going to call this neighborhood Rabbit Run.
Mm-hmm. I see.
Yeah.
And this is Bunny Road and Rabbit Run.
But Lisa, I'm sorry. Isn't there a clause in the ordinance that we can't use certain names for road? What are those names we can't use?
I'm not aware.
Yeah, I remember years back, we approved that certain names, that these roads couldn't be named after.
There may have, it seemed like at one time there may have been some discussion about like naming after people.
Right. And yeah, I know it was something. I just wanted to make sure Bunny Road was not one of them. Did you say future lot will be sold? Didn't you say something about future lots?
Yeah, so this is one of those state exemption subdivisions of the 5 acres and greater where the road already existed.
Oh.
I hate them, but.
Okay. I just thought I heard you say.
But they did put covenants on these, so there will be no further subdivision of the roads.
Okay.
And the road does run from one state road to the other.
Thank you.
Is this road agreement, you reviewed the road agreement, it contains all the elements that we consider to be important?
Yes, and I've made sure that they were, I wouldn't bring this road name to you till they were recorded. So the covenants and the road name, the road maintenance agreement have both been recorded as well.
Is there a chance the county will take over maintenance of this road?
No.
No chance?
There's a process. They could petition the council. There's a whole list of criteria that they have to meet, which would include delivering a survey, to the county council, and then the council's not bound by anything to accept the road. And you know, in the 25 years I've been here, the council hasn't accepted any roads. Our county just really doesn't have the additional resources to take on additional roads.
This is a dirt road, right? Have you been to this road or looked at it?
I haven't, but the fire marshal went out there. He sent us a report. He says it's a good road, and I think there is some crush and run on this road.
Having been involved with an HOA, trying to get either legal assistance to follow up on something like this is very difficult. I know that we're doing what we can with this road maintenance agreement, but I tell you, that's going to leave a lot of people in a difficult situation. I don't know what else we could do about it, but it seems like there ought to be something.
Yeah, and we're looking into it.
Any other questions or comments?
None, Mr. Chairman.
I'm ready to entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the staff recommendation to accept the name, what's it,
Bunny Road.
Bunny Road for, I don't know, what is this?
For a new road name. It's a new road
New
name.
road name for a subdivision, for the subdivision called Rabbit Run. Second.
A motion by Dr. Butler that we approve the new road name, Money Road, second by Ms. Ferguson. Ready for question? Hearing none, all in favor, motion, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, by the same sign. Hearing none, approved. Next thing on the agenda is proposed zone map amendment. This is just for discussion. Amendment to concept plan approval, plan development district, daily tax map number 038-0080-044.
So this will be a PDD application, for a zone map amendment and concept plan that will be coming to you. It'll be called Daily Organics PDD. And the applicant's Bellinger Hill Properties LLC. So they do intend to seek approval of a plan development district zoning designation for a commercial project. If approved, it'll be known as Daily Organics PDD. Included with the zoning map amendment application is a PDD document and concept plan. The project site consists of 223 acres. The parcel is located along Bellinger Hill Road and also has frontage on Bellinger Hill Run. The property is currently zoned rural preservation. It is developed with an existing farm that includes an organic composting and mulching operation. The applicant proposes to add a bagging facility, which will require an industrial zoning designation or a PDD that will allow this type of land use. In accordance with, I tell you what, it's getting late, and I've already told you about Article 8.1, so we just won't go through that again, but the intention of the PDD designation, which is to encourage the flexibility of the land use and promote its appropriate use. The comprehensive plan in this case, the future land use map identifies it as a rural transition area. The rural transition areas are located in southern Jasper County and will likely be under pressure to develop within the foreseeable future. The development proposals in existing communities such as Levy Limehouse should be respectful and complement the scale and character of the area. Adjacent zoning and land use, the property adjacent to the north is zoned, zoned residential and the uses are residential. The property adjacent to the south is zoned resource extraction and it's a mining operation. It's that land use development. To the west is zone residential and PDD. And the properties there are residential, and that is part of the Delta Bluffs PDD, you know, more toward the southwest portion of the adjacent property. To the east is zone residential, rural preservation, and resource extraction. And those uses are residential, a small campground, and a mine in operation there. The subject property is accessed by Bellinger Hill Road, which is a 2-lane state-maintained road. It's classified as a limited local road. And there is some frontage along Bellinger Hill Run, which is a private dirt road. The Daily Organics Concept Plan, which was shown in Appendix H of the document, it illustrates the proposed land use, the general layout and access point. This is the same scenario as what you just reviewed. Once they come forward with, you know, and ask for an approval for that PDD and the concept plan, there will still be a master plan that will be submitted separately after that, and it provides additional information regarding the layout of the development. But what is proposed is access points. The main access point along Bellinger Hill Road. The allowed land uses would be rural preservation, general commercial, and industrial. The density is 166 acres is designated to remain rural preservation, 36 acres is designated as general commercial, and 21 acres is designated as industrial. A minimum of 10% open space based on overall commercial highlands will be provided. Stormwater management, best management practices will be used in the development to ensure runoff leaving the site meets the South Carolina Department of Environmental Services, Office of Ocean and Coastal Resource Management, and the Jasper County Standards for Water Quality. The concept map shows the commercial areas are set back 400 feet from Bellinger Hill Road. And that was just me using the GIS data to kind of just see what that area is. The landscape standards, there would be a roadside buffer. It's not a highway corridor overlay district, but there would be a roadside buffer that would be required along Bellinger Hill Road. So in addition to any comments that the Planning Commission may have, staff does recommend limiting the uses to prohibit uses that are not envisioned for the property and focusing on allowed uses that would be envisioned for the property. And then also just to get a traffic analysis and capability letters from utility providers. The property it won't be serviced by community water and sewer, so it would be a well and septic tank. That's my understanding. There's already a large size private well there. Again, this is an existing farm already where they have an organic composting and mulching operation currently in existence. The applicant's with us tonight if you have any questions for them, but they are intending to seek approval, and we want to get it to you to see if you have any comments or questions or concerns.
Let the applicant come up real quick.
Mr. Pickney, can I ask Lisa to pull up the property with the zoning?
I'm James Daly. I'm Madison Daly. You can't tell I wear twins. You're not seeing it. We freak a lot of people out. But thank you guys for having us. We started.
Hold on a second. Ms. Wagner, while they're speaking, pull the map up where this land located.
Oh, yes. Yeah, and I'm going to pull this up a little bit closer to y'all. Okay.
We're in Levy, and we've got a family farm there. It's 223 acres, and we've grown up. We're from Savannah, but we've grown up hunting and hanging out at the family farm. And my dad, back in 2007, did a grass farm there and grew turf. Well, you know what happened the year after 2007, the Great Recession, and the turf farm was pretty much non-existent after that. And there's no grass being sold, there's no development, no new construction. So my brother and I, who were actually going to college at the time when all this happened, we were thinking about businesses that we could start, that we could use the farm for, that didn't involve grass, because we knew that one wasn't going to work. So we went to Wofford College, and we both majored in environmental science and business. And we're pretty studious. We're good guys, and we love the environment. We have a passion for it. We're not like tree huggers or anything like that, but we really do value our land there. And so we came back and decided to start this business where we take in organic waste. And now, once you think of organic waste, well, what we take in, our primary thing is if you got a tree in your backyard and it falls over, where does it go? It's got to go somewhere. Hopefully it's not going to sit in your yard. Maybe you use it for firewood, but most of the people in Bluffton or Hardyville or even Savannah, sometimes we get material from Savannah, they can't put it out on the curb. They can't take it. So it's got to go somewhere. Well, before us, you know where it was going? The landfill. And that's not what we're about. So we started this business to take in that material and make soil. So if you guys garden, if you've bought any type of mulch lately in Jasper County,
or compost,
you're probably buying our product. And I guess we've done well. There's a good market in Palmetto Bluff and Sun City and Hilton Head, the people that use soil and use mulch. And they certainly love that we're doing it because we're not cutting down trees. We're not going out and trying to find wood. It's coming to us. And we're giving that oak tree that fell over after this last hurricane, basically a second chance to make its way back and grow more trees or grow more bushes.
Beautify the community.
Beautify the community. And it's really, it's a cool business. We work outside all day. We like it. But we've run into a snag, and the snag is Jasper County's small, right? There's only so much soil and compost, mulch that can be sold in bulk. And when I say bulk, that's like somebody picking it up with a truck bed, or we sending the dump truck out to go and deliver it to your house. There's not a huge business for that. And so what we want to get into is bagging the product, and because that gives us the reach to say sell to Charleston or Brunswick or maybe even Macon. Atlanta, that might be too far in that traffic up there. And you tell them,
Yeah, so we want to be able to market our products through bags. We kind of build a brand that we see, our name, our business. We really think we're making a difference in the environment, and especially in our county by this type of business, being that it's a green, renewable business. It's not a heavy industrial warehouse, or
it's not,
we're not going to be, taking away dirt. We're creating dirt. We're creating earth. If anything, it's kind of God's process, how we see it. Material, gets repurposed and turned into a good compost that then we can then take and share with farmers or give the landscapers that they can grow trees instead of putting this horrible soil that I'm sure you see in Sun City. And they put this, they'll just rip out the topsoil, and the developer will sell it, and then the homeowner comes in his home and he's got no topsoil. So that's where we come and play. The homeowners can either come and buy topsoil from us, or they buy it from one of our customers that buys it from us and they sell it to them. And then they can then use this topsoil or compost in their yard or garden.
While we want to be bagging, because that gives us the opportunity to reach more customers, you would believe, if you go buy bag mulch right now at Lowe's or Home Depot or Ace Hardware, it's coming from Ohio. It's coming from North Carolina. It's coming from Florida.
Yeah.
You know how many people are bagging mulch in Jasper County is 0, but you know how many people are bagging mulch in Carolina? There's one, maybe two. There's nobody that really does it. So it's a great opportunity for us, but also, you know, it helps us keep, you know, our green waste, our trees, basically local, and keep it around here, and kind of keep that full circle. A tree falls down, it comes to our facility, we make it into mulch, we make it into compost, then it goes back out and gets put into a garden somewhere. And I guess that's probably the 10 minutes feel of who we are. And
we're a family-run business.
We're the owners, but our parents own the property. So, and they're
we lease the property from our parents.
And that their LLC is the Belvedere Hill.
And we've owned the property there for 30 years, and you can ask any of our neighbors, never one complaint out of any of our neighbors. We have great relationships.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, they actually like us because they get to come in and never get as much compost and mulch or anything they need.
Yeah.
You know, we're those kind of people. What's that? No, I'm serious. Yeah. And more than welcome to come by.
Yeah.
And then we also, too, so another thing to add to this, we quit doing the turf farm because it wasn't profitable. Yeah. So we did start this organic garden. I don't know if you guys know Roland Chalmers, but he's actually been over there planting watermelon. So kind of doing the full circle. Yeah. And we want to be able to provide, hey, fresh produce at a place as well.
So yeah, he takes our compost, he puts it out in the field.
Yeah. And he plants it.
Yeah. So he's
watermelons and squash.
Yeah, he's got
we're not doing any rice over there.
No rice.
No rice.
Yeah. But corn and all sorts of good vegetables.
So yeah, that's our spiel.
Yeah.
Chairman Pinckney, one reason we got here tonight to the PDD process is they have an approval through South Carolina DHEC for their compost and mulching, but they needed a different type of authorization.
Yeah.
And it would have required them to come to you for rezoning for industrial development.
Yeah.
And we kind of knew that really wasn't going to be very possible here.
Right.
So it was, the county met with them, and we were the ones that kind of suggested you probably need to put together a PDD. And we could limit those uses, we could have the higher designs. And so that's the whole purpose in the PDD. I
Right.
should have told you that earlier. So.
Yeah, I mean, our intention is to, you know, we're not there to build warehouses.
Yeah, we've been called by every single developer you can possibly think of.
Yeah.
We want to keep the land and do this business, and we want to keep our trees. I mean, I can tell you, I've got a memory for every tree out there. I mean, we love the place. We want to keep it the way it is. We just want to do this business that basically, you know, affords us to continue to enjoy the land. And no, we don't want to sell it. We don't want to sell it to anybody that's trying to put in warehouses. And we've got some more land down the street, and we're, you know, big community partners and trying to keep, you know, development's a good thing, but we want it, you know, somewhere else. We like our corner of Levy, and this is, I guess, our form of development that we want to see, which is like you could call it like a soft, you know, no really hardcore. There's going to be a building, you know, obviously there's going to be structures, and there's going to be, you know, serious stuff, serious equipment. But as far as, you know, major industrial stuff, I mean, yeah, not much.
Okay, my turn.
Yeah.
That's my concern, because I hear what you say, but what I read on the paper is general commercial industrial development, and my hair stands up. Because this is a very, you know, it is a beautiful place. I don't know what your property looks like, but the area is beautiful, and to think about some kind of industry coming in there. So I'm not sure exactly what it is you're proposing. I mean, I've heard what you say, but when you talk about bagging plant construction, I don't know what that means. And I know what those words mean, but I don't know what it's going to mean in terms of being on the ground. And so a lot of people live around you, and you know, so that's a concern I have. I would hate to see this area. I mean, you've already seen what's happening around you.
Right.
Huge warehouses are coming in, so it's nice to hear that there's somebody that's interested in keeping the land more rural and more natural.
Yeah.
But I have serious concerns about those two things.
Yes, ma'am.
So, and I don't think we really have enough information really to say. I mean, I know that this is just a presentation to get feedback, but I don't think I can give them any more feedback except to say, I'm concerned about that. And I would not be supportive of having, can we see what the zoning is around them?
Sure.
Excuse me.
I'm gonna pull up something else for you to.
Excuse me.
We'll go back to that. But, the zoning around it. So this is the property, this is, Highway 315. This is Bellinger Hill Road. This is the little Bellinger Hill Run.
Their property comes up to 315?
No, I was just showing you the intersection here of 315 and Bellinger Hill Road. It kind of goes
315
around.
goes back that way.
To go to Savannah, Good Hope Road, and this here's Bellinger Hill Run. So they're sitting right there. The adjacent zoning is residential to the north, rural preservation, a little bit of residential to the east. To the south, this isn't, it's labeled here, it's resource extraction. This piece here should be resource extraction. This here's the other piece of resource extraction. This is Mr. Kenny Bryant.
Yeah, dirt pits, yes, ma'am.
Over here's part of, this here is a PDD to
That's
the west.
City of
And-
Hardyville?
Sir?
Is that City of Hardyville?
That's a part of the Delta Bluffs PDD.
That's county?
County.
Okay.
Yes. And this here's residential as well, Chalmers Work Road, if you're familiar with that. So that's the adjacent zoning. And then I'm just going to pull up their concept plan.
Lisa, do those sand mines have to come through the county at all? They go straight to DHEC?
They did. Those that are resource extraction came right through here for the rezoning. And the lanyard development's a big one, so the county council wanted a development agreement with that one. So there's a development agreement. Mr. Bryant's was very small. There's not a development agreement with that one. Sorry, I'm getting there in just a minute. Okay, so this here's again Bellinger Hill Road. This blue is being proposed as rural preservation.
That's what it is now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe, they would have a land use tied with that in the PDD document. Maybe they would be willing to show that area as conservation. I don't know they're in use if they have bigger plans later. So, but the orangish color here that's proposed for general commercial and this, I think it's supposed to be red, but this one here it looks hot pink. That is industrial, proposed for industrial. So just to give you an idea of where the bagging facility would be, it would be somewhere in this area.
Yeah. So I guess why the industrial is so big is like storage for the bags. Like once they're done, like you put them on a pallet, and you've got to like rock that area so you can get a machine over it and store it there. So the bagging facility is it's just going to be a building, and then the surrounding red area would just be for us for future use, to be able to store it and place the bags on the ground. But there won't be any structures there.
So you're going to have semis come in and pick this stuff up? Is your plan?
Yeah.
How will they get?
We've got a main access road. Yeah, we're for the turf farm. Semis come through there.
Yeah, I want to be going like Green Acres.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this
in there.
Yeah, we,
Show you that on the map as well, it's right here.
And that comes out of Bellinger Hill Road.
yeah, that comes out right here at Bellinger Hill, yeah.
Ms. Ferguson.
Yeah, I have two comments and one question. I think maybe the question may have been answered already. I like the idea that you guys went to college and studied what you're about to get into. So hopefully we don't have a flop at some point because you understand and know what you're doing. And the fact that you actually lease the property from your parents, that's really good as well because you'll appreciate what you're doing or what they provided for you.
Right, absolutely.
And then the other question was, where are you going to store these bags?
Yeah, that's a good question. So that's they're going to be on pallets. So pretty much all in that red area, that's just like future storage area. I mean, realistically, starting out, we're not going to need much because we're going to have to go out and go get customers. But we wanted to go ahead and say, hey, that way we don't have to come back and ask for more, to try to get as much as for the industrial. So,
just imagine like just a lay down yard, just with bags. So you were going behind loads and seen just the bags there.
Yeah.
Just those and like in rows.
Or even to like
so in springtime our business is very seasonal.
Yeah.
So right now we're not really doing a whole bunch, but we've got in the winter we've got to make a lot of products so that in the springtime when the grass starts growing, everybody starts buying product, we got to be ready. Those products it's kind of like farming, and so that's why we just need that footprint. There won't be any structures there. It's just be just an open area, these bags store, and the only thing we might just bring in some hard pan, like dirt, maybe a little crusher run, just to keep our loaders or forklifts from seeing.
What about noise?
Noise?
Well, it's big property, so the noise is not an issue.
The machines are pretty quiet as they are. I mean, there might be a backable arm here and there, but we haven't had any complaints, about noise right now.
And the bagging facilities would be like
indoors, so it'd be very quiet.
It'd be like electric too. So like
and you think of the bagging facility, just think of like a tomato farm. We're trying to bag his own tomatoes. Like that's what we're trying. We're trying to have it's electrical equipment, so we don't want to have it outside. You could do it outside, but you get rain on. So all we're trying to do is just contain the bagging equipment. That way we can put the material indoors, bag it, and then it goes back outside.
Yeah, I mean, our plan is to. This isn't going to be some
high-tech,
sophisticated, knock your socks off, bag facility.
This is going to be like a big shed.
This isn't like we're going to be this is a big shed, but this is like we feel like we want to be able to grow to hopefully store more material because, like he said, I mean, unfortunately our business is highly seasonal, so the whole entire year, 8 months out of the year, you got to like produce and stockpile, and in the bagging world, that stockpile means putting it into a bag and then placing it on a yard. So when come spring, you get orders like crazy. You've got your material there, so you can ship it out, and then at the end of spring, pretty much you're left with like an open yard, and then you kind of just repeat the process.
So you don't really ever anticipate having a bunch of stuff like mounds of stuff just back there?
Well, I mean, there's going to be the composting process. There's we've got windrows where we go out there and turn it, turn the mulch with a wheel loader, like a tractor, big tractor, and we roll it, and it breaks down over time. So there's piles of stuff, but that's like for the actual composting side. For the bagging plant, there would be like hoppers, right? And we would take material from the composting pad or the mulch pad, bring it over with a piece of equipment, dump it in the hopper, and it would make its way into the to the conveyor and into the bag machine.
It would come back in with compost. It would come in like a 1 cubic foot bag. For mulch, would come in a 2 cubic foot bag.
Yeah,
this compost is a little heavier than mulch. So then all you do, we have a guy that sits there and stacks on a pallet. He stacks it nicely, he grows it, and then when it's full, forklift comes in and grabs it and it sticks it outside.
Yeah,
that's all.
That's our general idea. I mean, we haven't done this yet, but we want to Yeah, it kind of stinks that, you know, we have to go through all this to be able to, but we understand, like, we want to do it right.
Right.
We want to, you know, dot our I's and cross our T's and, you know, go through this process to be able to put our mulching bags and sell, you know, more product and grow a business. So,
Yeah, and we figured, so we were recommended by the county to go through PDD
Yeah.
because it would show you guys that, hey, this is what we plan on doing, and this is what we can't do. So we
Yeah.
have restricted uses. So that way you guys know and trust us that, hey, we're never going to put a strip mall there or
Yeah.
a tire manufacturing plant.
We'll-
or something
we'll-
there.
we
We
can-
can exclude all of those and be very specific on what we can do there and what we can't. That way you guys are comfortable and know that, you know,
yeah, but at the end of the day, it's our, we don't want to.
yeah, it's our family land, and we've got neighbors there for 30 years. My grandfather lived there, and and it's safe for us. And we intend to keep it that way.
Mr. Jenkins?
Mr. Chairman, I tell you what, I'm lost for words. Because this is the first time I've, on this commission, have seen two young men from Jasper County come before us and asking us to help them.
Well,
Help them be successful.
thank you.
Because the average young man in this county graduate from school and have to take off, go to New York, Philadelphia, or somewhere to be successful. And I applaud you two gentlemen
Thank you.
for the simple reason that you're trying to make a life and be successful when there's so many other things out there you could be involved in. I wish you much success, and I pray that whatever your endeavor is, you will be successful. But I only have two questions. Do you plan to employ other people?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, we've already got employees for the sign.
Just for the comp-basing operation that's there existing.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of, actually, guys that live.
We employ a
been
lot
there.
of people in Levy. Yeah, we got, I mean, there's some of our really good friends that work for us now. And they live right across the street. And, I mean, we're tied in, we take care of our people down there.
My great-grandfather, he was a big hunter. If you grew up around there, you probably would have had one of his dogs running through your backyard.
Yeah.
And so we're always there with them chasing dogs. We know everybody, and on a personal basis. So,
Yeah, we know every single person behind us.
Yeah. And we were fortunate enough to pick up a lot of people that were out of work, and so they're now working with us over there.
And we went in the bagging plant. We would bring on
More jobs.
It would actually be a lot of employees. So it would be like
Actually, 4 operators
Yeah.
needed for the bagging plant.
probably like 4 to 6 actually.
4 to 6,
Yeah,
yeah.
they got the forklift operators too. So yeah,
No.
so we're gonna be employing some people for further employees. Yeah.
I want to wish you much success, and I pray that whatever you do, Godspeed, and I pray that y'all will be successful.
Well, we appreciate
And
it.
I thank you for coming before us tonight, because,
We appreciate y'all's time. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
God bless you. Good luck to you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The only comments I have, I've got calls about that Belladille Road, that the state hadn't been maintaining to the,
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah. It's that's great.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
and got some trees hanging, overhanging.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's because the Delta
That
PDD
Delta,
property went in there and clear cut
They
the
cleared
whole
up the
place.
place, yeah.
And they left a buffer on the road and said that those trees went from seeing no wind to a whole bunch of wind when the storm comes.
Yeah.
So they start toppling over.
You know,
Toppling over. And that's not us.
That the last storm that just came through, there was like trees down. We got out there, chainsaws and wheel loader. We're like the guys that go out there and clear. But there's one that falls every month. It's a problem. And the road right in front of us though recently got repaved. But there is a section down a little bit that's like you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful. And we've called about it, but you know it's
kind of out of our hands. And you're probably thinking down there at the end of Dirt Road, we've got more property there where the road goes from asphalt to gravel. That's where it can get a little dicey there because the motor grader. I guess we're in the last part of Jasper County, you know, so motor grader never wants to.
Yes, I mean, an individual called me, was wanting to know who was responsible for maintaining the road, and they have spoke to the senator and the House of Representatives, and hadn't gotten no response to that. But I was supposed to go down there and take a look at it. I know it's a state road.
Yes,
Like she stated in the narrative, it's a secondary road, you know, it's not a main artery, but it hadn't been being taken care of. So if all of us can work on trying to improve that, because like you said, if you really get going, you're gonna be putting more traffic on that road.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're actually members of a committee that cleans, or we actually walk the road and clean the trash off the road once every 6 months, and at least keep it's Elementary Hill pretty good but it's Facebook page online. We at least do that. As far as maintaining the road, you know, that's definitely something that we should consider. The grass does get a little high, and you know, it doesn't look so good, and then you know, there's a lot of potholes and stuff I need to take care of.
Okay, any other question coming from the commission?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Well, down to the last thing, discussion. One thing, Ms. Wagner, I don't know who the maintenance person, but the temperature in this room,
My nose is frozen. I think your cold is too.
I've been a meat cutter for 35 years. This is almost cool as the cutting room. So it'll help us and save the county some tax dollars, get the evidence to a reasonable temperature. Yeah. So now, no other discussion, I'm ready to entertain a
So
motion.
move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Second, we stand adjourned to our next scheduled meeting.
Oh, thank you, sir.
We pray that the storm will go the other way.
Can I just tell you?